Not these judges in the court, in the state courts. God is our judge. And under God, I will die for the freedoms that we stand for today. And with that, I mean, God bless everybody. I'm here. I made it back. The welcome that Maryland has brought out here today.
All right, I realized something. We did not stop and have us a little prayer. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to say me a little prayer. You guys, it's your choice. You bow your head if you want. I'm a devout Christian, very backslidden. But I'm going to say a little prayer for the convoy, say a little prayer over the grounds. At the end of that, I'm going to rest my mind for 30 seconds and say a prayer to myself. I hope that you guys out here in the crowd, I hope you guys will take that time to pray about what is about ready to happen. We know where we're going from here. So I want you guys to take your minute, your 30 seconds. I want you to think, meditate, whatever you want to do. I'm going to pray. I'm going to pray for safety for each and every one of you guys out here in the crowd that are going to follow us from this location to where we go to. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for the opportunity to join with the People's Convoy here at Hagerstown Speedway. I pray for each and every soul that's out here. I pray that they would seek you and that they would find you. I pray for their safety. I pray for the safety tonight. I pray that you would take and lay a special hand on leadership and help them to lead these folks to where they are supposed to be. I pray that in D.C. and the ones that are not there because of all of these stupid mandates and the stupid laws that allow them to vote from anywhere that they want to be in this great nation. I thank you for our great leaders that founded this nation, and I pray that you would continue to keep this a great nation, blessed by you. In your name I pray, amen. All right, speaker that you guys are very, very familiar with. I'm trying to find him in the crowd. Where'd he go? All right. I want to welcome to the stage a friend of mine, soon to be graduate of the University of Maryland, Justin Wages. He's running for state delegate here. His story, very, very interesting. I hope that you guys will see the craziness of what we have endured at a school level, and hope that you'll understand his interest in heading to Annapolis. Please, sir.
Thank you, guys. It's great to be. I'm sure you all agree with me. I'm from just 30 minutes down the road here in Frederick, Maryland, one of the places that the convoy rolls through heading down to the Capitol Beltway. And yeah, I'm just here to tell you a couple stories. It seems like everybody likes to say, you know, all of our opponents like to say, well, what are you guys doing? What are you protesting? There's nothing to protest. Everything's over. Just go home, you know? And I look at that, the truth of what's going on. They like to act like, oh yeah, everything's over, but they don't talk about how we still have the national emergency, which is the biggest thing going on here right now that we're trying to put an end to. But they don't talk about everyday people who still face these mandates and are left with no choice, whether to be expelled, fired from work, or else, if they don't follow these mandates and bow down to the government. So I'll tell you a story. I am graduating. I'm walking across the stage at the University of Maryland. Thank you. But I was this close to not having that happen. So I graduated from high school in 2017, went to Frederick Community College for 3 years, got my associates. That's the cheap way to do it. That's the way that is fiscally conservative. I don't want you guys paying for my college. and I'm taking that loan out, I need to pay it back myself. It's not your obligation to do so. So I started out at community college, but I go to transfer to the University of Maryland to finish my degree, and it's fall of 2020, and I get hit with the ultimatum: you need to be vaccinated or you cannot attend our campus. And the biggest thing is, everything was completely online at the time. There was no reason to come to campus, but they still wanted to tell you, oh, well, to attend our school, you need to be vaccinated. But nothing's in person anyway. So, how do you come to that conclusion? So we get around, I slide through. I slide through that first year of online school. But here we come. They're opening the campus back up this fall, right? So this past fall 2021. And I'm again hit with the ultimatum: you need to be vaccinated. Luckily, University of Maryland was one of the places that were approving religious exemptions. But I got easy. They did everything they could to make it difficult, make it burdensome to get this religious exemption. So here I am sitting 3 days before campus opens, before classes start. That's late August. They have still exemption that I put in 2 months earlier. It's been 2 months. And they've got a whole department that's working on these religious and medical exemptions. It's been 2 months. They still have not gotten back to me. I give them a call. Oh, you just have to wait. They'll get to you soon. But if your exemption isn't approved, you can't come to campus. So I'm sitting there 3 days before campus opens, and I'm being told I can't approve that exemption, but it doesn't stop there. Vaccination rate on campus, but they still require the unvaccinated students, myself, some of the unvaccinated staff members, to get tested twice a week. But they didn't have that requirement for the unvaccinated students. The unvaccinated population could do whatever they wanted, could go to whatever parties they wanted. Nothing happened. But if you were unvaccinated, you were forced to be tested 2 times a week. So we keep on going. We're going on down. I'm not getting these tests. I tell you, I did not get these tests. And I got a conduct, thank you. I got a conduct referral. Office of Student Conduct sent me an email that said you are facing suspension or expulsion for not getting tested. Okay, you're not testing the unvaccinated. You're testing the unvaccinated. You're not testing the vaccinated. Where do I become a second-class citizen because I refuse to take a jab? What? Why do I have a secondary set of consequences because I refuse to take this vaccine that isn't working, by the way? So we get on down the line. We're here in the spring semester, and they finally drop the testing requirement. But the whole time in these testing offices, they had signs that said, and they know that the people getting tested had religious and medical exemptions, but they still have the signs up. Contact the school health department for your vaccination today. It's still thrown in our faces, even though we have religious and medical exemptions. But I'm here to tell you that I made it through that. I'm going to be walking the stage tomorrow, but we still have a mask mandate. The University of Maryland has a KN95 mask requirement in classes and in transportation at all times. We're 2.5 years past this thing. It's time for that to stop. So when I hear people that say, oh, these truckers, they're just selfish. There's nothing that they're doing. They're not protesting anything. They're protesting mandates that have been dropped years ago. I'll tell you, there are kids there like me. There are kids at the Air Force Academy. I don't know if you guys heard this. It came out a week ago. 4 cadets at the Air Force Academy in Colorado that were told they will not be able to graduate this week because they are not vaccinated. And anybody who's went to any of our service academies, you know that you go there to become a commissioned officer. If you don't graduate, you're not a commissioned officer. Everything that you put forth for the last 4 years does not come to fruition. And they're telling these 4 brave Air Force cadets that they are not allowed to become a commissioned officer, and they are not allowed to receive to not take the jab. So like I said, when it comes to that, there are still mandates to be fought. There are still people suffering. There are people losing their jobs. There are people being turned away for 4+ years now. So don't let anybody tell you that, oh, the mandates are gone. there's nothing left to fight for. There are plenty of people left to fight for. And again, my name's Justin Wages. I'm a candidate here in Frederick County, just one county over, for Maryland State Delegate. One of the youngest candidates in the field across the state, hoping to get down there to Annapolis and, stand up against the mandates, stand up for our veterans, stand up for our hard-working individuals like the truckers that are right around the corner, I'm guessing. And we got some back here. And it's just unbelievable when you look at it and you see all these people who don't see what's really going on in our country. And I'm glad to be here with all of you today and speak with you about that. And you can find me, I've got a whole bunch of cards here. You can find me online at wagesfordelegate.com, and I'd love to talk with you if anybody'd like to speak with me individually. But thank you again. I'm so glad to be out here, and enjoy your stay in Hagerstown.
Thank you, Justin. I'm going to bring up these next two folks here. Their story is not one that's too unfamiliar to a lot of people watching this live stream, listening to my voice. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. It's a great pleasure to have you guys on the stage. I can give you another microphone.
Thank you so much for allowing us, giving us the honor to be able to share this. Sorry about that. Thank you again, and Patriot, for being in this fight for our freedom. We were here the first time with you. We're so excited that they allowed us to come back. Able to drive with you across California, but thank you. And whoever is making the decisions to allow us with this space, but we do appreciate you, and we appreciate everyone around the country that is fighting in prayer or any other way. Heart, thank you for fighting with us, and please continue, because the prayers are especially needed. And we wanted to, this is Fidel, I'm Tracy Castellanos, and our story is about medical tyranny. When this pandemic started happening in January of 2020, we knew something was very wrong. We could sense it, and we knew that we needed to find out what was really happening. When the lockdowns occurred in March of 2020, my father had just been placed in a home, a retirement home. Within 1 month, he was dead. It was not called the plague, but, and I'm using my words very carefully, but I do believe there had not been a lockdown. It was very unfortunate. Many elderly people died in April of 2020 across the world, and especially in the UK. We wanted some answers on what was really happening, so we started looking. And God led us to the right people, the right channels, the right patriots, and we found out what was going on. So Fidel and I started working very hard to take certain protocols and certain therapeutics that we knew would protect us from if we were to become ill. In fact, we didn't think we would become ill, and in October of last year, we did become ill. So we continued to take everything we knew to take sicker while I was getting over it. So we hired a non-Western thinking doctor to come to the house to tend to Fidel. And unfortunately, on October 31st, he ended up in a hospital, which in hindsight, we see God's providence even in all of that. From square one, this hospital that we carefully spoke what we wanted and what we did not want during his stay. It got very apparent that we were in a life and death fight. And I'm going to allow the story as he was put in the hospital.
Thank you very much. I want to say, first of all, good evening, we the people. We have First Amendment rights, and those are being trying to take away from us. And we have a lot of other rights that it's good that we gather and share. They're trying to take that away too. And that, as Tracy has alluded to, I didn't even know what was going to happen. We didn't know how it was going to come back. We had no idea it was even happening at the moment. It caused us to come in line with different people, different groups, different organizations, learn what we had to learn, get educated, get smart. And even as I was okay with what was going down, because for some reason I knew God was for it. And later we found out what it was. And later we saw God's hand at work every step of the way. And things that happened, and things that were kept from happening with us. We found out later on why they didn't happen. And so it kept us from going down the wrong rabbit trail. And I had to step into the transport to go to some place I did not want to go. I knew I didn't want to go to the hospital, and it couldn't go on with me staying at home. I was basically in the fishbowl. Everyone else was outside the fishbowl, so I could see it firsthand. I could sense it. I could realize it. I could wrap it my mind around what was going on. And I could see for myself on a first-hand basis the actions that were taking place. Fog because of the illness. The good Lord kept me aware enough so that I could start conversing with the medical staff, the medical facility, and which we choose not the actual names of the drugs, and we'll just refer to them, and we won't even talk about the C word. It's got to be kept all germane, but everyone knows, you've heard it before, and you understand what we're going to talk about and what we're going to put forward. This is a very short version of it, and we're going to try and keep it very, very condensed. If you want the full explanation, as you said, go on the Rumble channel.
Up front in the prophetic in December for an hour explanation of everything, and you can hear everything in its entirety that we cannot say here. And it will help you and family members if they are ever in this position.
So right from the get-go, I was in the ICU, and I realized something wasn't right. As they were taking X-rays and drawing blood, and they started really pushing hard for me to accept a protocol that didn't make sense. Procedures that I clearly could not go with, and they put on the pressure big time from the. I want to say that the caregivers, the nurses, and the aides and stuff like that, they were marvelous. They really were. It's the other people, the doctors and the administrators. Those are the ones that you got to watch out for, because they wanted me of these medications, and we understood what they did to us. So there was no way I was gonna sign up for that. And the more I pushed back, the more contested it got. But I realized there were 4 other faces in the room as I was going back and forth with the emergency room doctor, and I had to stand my ground. So I gave in, and she admitted me and that they wanted to do for me, but treating the symptoms of pneumonia, because I was in pneumonia at that point. So we were going to go and as far as I was sick with pneumonia and go from there. And I'm sure they knew that there were other opportunities that they were going to sneak in and try and persuade me or threaten me or make me afraid. And so as we went through all this, I was getting put into a regular hospital room on the COVID ward and going through all that. And my first was the emergency room nurse, as everyone was clearing, said, "You're doing the right thing. You're standing up for your rights. You're standing up for what is good for you. You need to keep going with that idea, but you're doing really." So, you know, you get spoken to that way in the way that she did it, and a little light goes on in your head, and you go, oh, this is totally different from my previous experience. Because I had trust in the physicians because of what we learned. And a lot of people go in there fully trusting the doctors and everybody that converse with them. And they say, "Oh yeah, sure, doc, you know the right thing, you know best," and they just go along with it. And it's horrible. And they know it. And later on, Tracy will kind of give you a little insight into. But I was in there and I was fighting. I knew I was in a fight for my life because every chance I got, I had somebody else in my face telling me, "You're going to die. If you don't do this, you're not going to survive. We need to know that you give us an okay to put you on the vent if we have to." Closing anything, nothing. You're supposed of what the remedies are going to be, how they were going to go about it, what the side effects were, you know, and what the consequences were, so you could make an informed decision. They don't do that anymore. So you're left on your own devices to make a decision based upon nothing more than what they say, nothing more than what they tell you, and pretty soon it became like listening to the mainstream media. Whatever they said, it was completely opposite. That's the way it was coming down, and that's the way I understood it very quickly. I also understood that every single technician, physician, doctor had their own spiel. And when you know a sales pitch, it comes across regardless of who the person saying it is. And that's what it was. It was a sales pitch to get me to sign up with them. The protocol to go on the ventilator. I hope I didn't say that wrong. But it was basically a two-step process. I wanted to know, well, what's the decision tree that you go through to make, you know, that. And they said, well, if we think you're getting worse, that was it. That was, you know, and I realized just what a serious consequence that was. So that was my big struggle, was to stay. They put me on different medications, steroids and things, to combat the inflammation and the pneumonia, and they started with some supplements. And it was completely inadequate, the supplements. They weren't worried about nutrition, really. I'm a diabetic, and they were trying to push on me cookies and milk for my snack in the evening. If anybody knows about, you can't have that kind of stuff. You can't have all the things that they were trying to get me to take, which would have weakened me, and they do that. And so I negotiated with them. At least I got vegetables and fruit, basically fruit to snack, which was okay. But meanwhile, my sugar was getting pushed to the moon because of the steroids. So I had to be aware of what I really needed and what I could say no to. Okay, so I got through all that. They gave me a medication that I didn't even realize I was being given. We changed it around. We dropped that one. We got another one added on. We finally started convincing the head doctor that we could do this. We could go this route. And through God's grace, and kind of holding the wool over their eyes too, so I did it back. They didn't know I had medication in the ivory. And we got it in there. And they gave us permission to do it. They didn't realize they were doing it. They said, whatever you're taking at home. Okay, thanks, Doc. That really saved me a lot. And then it was just really high dosages that we went to. So, tell you this conversation.
So So please, please, please go watch the real rumble up front in the prophetic. They tried to kill him, and you will hear what the head nurse had to say to me, and it will show you that these keep praying for the nurses. They are trying to fight, and some of them are losing the battle and getting they said they were trying to get rid of all of them. So we thank you so much for your time. Praying for our country, and keep praying for all these patriots and all the others fighting around the world.
Thank you, guys. Listen, I used to ride around on the ambulance as a volunteer fireman. When you have a patient in the back of the buggy, you want to have that patient advocate. Where did that patient advocate go during this time frame that we're at? Why haven't we all raised our arms up and got mad about this and fought at the county and the state level? That's what this is about. This is a national cause, but the fight is at the state. This stuff needs to end. Not only did they come after our loved ones that were our partners, they came after our kids in a horrible way. We were all given the opportunity to watch what happened with us. I want to bring a friend of mine up. Her husband, Big George, helped me in the kitchen tremendously when you all first came in the very first time. If you guys like the spaghetti, give it up for Big George. Yeah. All right, I'm going to let April have the stage here. Let her do her thing. Thank you, April, for coming.
Well, thank you for having me. Hi, everybody. My name is April Montgomery. I'm also from Frederick County. I am running for Board of Education. Thank you, thank you. I have 3 children of my own, and I'll be honest with you, the way that the truckers are, the way that everybody else here is doing, the way that anybody at home, by tuning in, by donating to the convoy, the things that these people are doing is giving hope. They're giving hope and they're spreading knowledge. There's 2 reasons we do that. We give hope. We give hope. And one of the largest groups of people that cannot stand up for themselves are our children. The curriculum that's being added into our schools right now across Maryland that's coming down from the state is purely to take our kids, turn them into activists, and turn them against their families. 7th grader, my 12-year-old daughter, cringing at her computer during quarantine. I didn't know what she was listening to. She had her headphones on during virtual learning. And I said, "Hey, are you okay?" She was like, "Yeah, I'm okay." I was like, "Take your headphones off." And what I heard coming out of that speaker in 2021, I could not believe the content and the mature language and the inappropriate topics that they were teaching my 12-year-old daughter. From that moment on, I knew I had to do something. I'm a previous educator. I worked with special needs children, and I had a kindergarten enrichment class. I loved my littles. You know, my husband is a big old patriot, and I say that in many ways because he's so
No, but who? I can't reach that high.
But he looked at me and he said, "You know what? It's school board. This is all you, baby." I am not a public speaker. I am not a brave soul. I like being in the classroom with my 5-year-old or with my own children. Just like the rest of you are doing. Please can
Thank you.
for the veterans, for injured people, for people that are sick, for people that have lost their help. The mandates, the curriculum, the things they're doing to our babies, and the things they're doing to us are not okay. If you have the ability, as an American citizen, who truly loves loves freedom, which we all do, get up and do something. Thank you all very much for having me here. I appreciate you all and everything that you're doing.
Thank you. Speaker, she says she gets vertigo. I stand up on these trailers. I'm a flatbed driver myself. I stand up on these trailers all the time, so I'm good with it. I'm going to pass this microphone off to Robin. She's going to explain the voter integrity piece.
Thank you. Tonight here, the people. Well, I look at truckers kind of like the last cowboys. Don't you guys think? You know, you're on the road, you're living free, and basically people like yourself and Mike Lindell at My Pillow are going to save America. As Jeremiah said, my name's Robin Sachs, and I was called to work on our fraudulent elections. So, how many people here have seen 2,000 Mules? Okay, well, not too many people yet. I would highly recommend, guys, that you watch 2,000 Mules. In fact, it's out there for free now. I'm going to mention our website. So our website is mdvoter.org. mdvoter.org. And I'd invite you guys to go to our private Facebook group or Telegram. So, how many people felt that the 2020 election was a free and fair and transparent election? Okay. Wow, I don't even think we have. I agree with you guys. When we 6 key swing states all at one time and blame it on a water main break, I said to my husband, who's my videographer there, I said to Jim, they're about to steal this election because this is what goes on in third world countries. So when we woke up the next morning and it's like the counting never stopped, right guys? It's like, oh, they're just going to keep getting ballots until they can over that line, right? And that's kind of exactly. I said to Jim, I had been a volunteer, and I said, you know, we have to look at this. We need to. How many people here have heard of Seth Keshel? Seth is a military intelligence analyst, and kind of looking for, if you want to call it anomalies, does this make sense or not? So I reached out to Seth about Maryland. Already had a sheet started on Maryland. So to make a long story short, we found in Anne Arundel County, Carroll County, Harford County, and Queen Anne's County had 35% Democrat votes. 2020, when the norm is 1 to 2%. So I own a small business. I go to your accountant, and he says, "Wow, Robin, you usually get a 1 to 2% profit margin. Now all of a sudden you have a 35% profit margin. What changed?" Okay, that's how dramatic this change. That we went back 20 years. A normal presidential election cycle, whether Democrat or Republican, is 1 to 2%. Now all of a sudden we have these 35% Democrat vote spikes. So I was like, okay, something's very wrong here. We put out a press release. And the State Board of Elections, instead of turning around and saying, oh, wow, there's a problem here, well, what did they do? They put something out on rumor control. Theorists, and everything's fine, and we shouldn't be concerned
about the 35% vote spikes in 5 counties. And by the way, guys, some of these counties had 6%, or like Carroll County had a 25% advantage for a Republican. Democrat votes have been going down in these counties. And now you get a 35% Democrat vote spike. Where'd that come from? So I only have a couple more minutes with you, but what I'm going to say is if you see 2,000 mules, it's really high-tech ballot stuffing. And what we had noticed in Maryland is that we had 100. These are people that have been on the Maryland rolls since 2012, never ever voted, but 106,000 of them voted in 2020. 2,000 mules kind of comes to the conclusion of, do they know they voted? Whether you call it sucker bucks or whatever, we're looking at low propensity voters. So when you add it up together, guys, we are not having free and fair and transparent elections. Yes. And so what we want all of you guys to do, whether you're in Frederick County, I will be speaking 8th at 6 o'clock. So for those of you who want to come to that, I can go through the whole presentation. But whether, here's the thing, and I'm going to until June 2nd. We have to stop pretending that the emperor has clothes, okay? I mean, I've talked to probably 12 different Board of Elections presidents, and they're like, everything's fine. Well, no, everything is not fine. I can guarantee you that. And so we need the people of Maryland, our Board of Elections, our county boards. How many people here would prefer to vote on paper ballots and hand count them? Exactly, and that's all we're pushing. So we have at mdvoter.org a petition. If you guys go to that petition, we'd love it if you would sign our petition to hand count paper ballots. We have about 8. It's only been out for a couple weeks now. We want to take that to the Board of Elections, to the governor, because here's the thing, guys. They're going to try to force us in. We have July 19th to force us to use the same system with the same drop boxes, with the same machines to count those ballots. And we don't want to do that. The only way we can ensure that Justin gets a fair election is to hand count paper ballots. That's number one. And then we have other things we have to solve too. So is join us, come on our private Facebook group, join us, on Telegram or wherever you're comfortable, and let's fix this. Because think about it. Everything that we heard about the mandates and all of these horrible things with the education, if we're not having free and fair elections, how do we solve this, guys? We have to have them. So anyway, thank you for your time. I'm so proud to be with We the People and the People's Convoy, and let's get into the fight, guys.
Thank you, Robin. How many signatures did you say you had? 815?
Yep.
I'm 816. Here's the free and fair elections. My next guest speaker, he's running for right here, Congressional Seat 6. You're running against a couple people that you debated last night.
Yes, and I destroyed them. Yeah, man.
Yep. We're not going to last political speaker. I want this gentleman to come up here and tell me what he's going to do when he goes to Washington.
Absolutely, really appreciate it. My name is Jonathan Jenkins, and yes, I'm running for Congress because yes, you need right. Congress right now is at 11% rating, right at cockroach level, so I'm trying to get a little bit above there. But very serious, I'm not a politician. I'm just another gunny, just a dumb Marine that is very fed up, another pissed off dad. America that my little kids and my little Gabriel's 8, my Kristen is 10. They have not really witnessed America with the wokeism, with the jabs. It's amazing how much education they lost. I kept them in private school, but guess what? We also got booted out of there. We have a lot of the teachers in there that were told they had to get frequently tested, had to get the here tonight. Yes, I'm running for Congress. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent. That's not why I'm here. Again, what we need to do is solve the problems. I have been blessed with a lot of things over time to be the best candidate because I understand the external threat, being a Marine, being artificial intelligence, machine learning, to go after Russia, bad actors, China, and all that. But guess what? I've also been blessed accidentally for what we're facing right now. I have consulted in almost half of the federal agencies, services, Centers for Medicaid and Medicare, and guess what? One of our favorites, I wish it was CDC, NIH, several institutes within the NIH. I understand the culture in there. I've helped develop systems in there. I had to talk to leadership and state. So by me having an understanding, I can immediately step in, start having clean bills. Some of the things I want to do immediately is understanding why verbiage changed. So I'm going to be using my background of artificial intelligence, specifically text analytics, to look at all the verbiage that is, especially CDC and NIH. Why would you change the definition of virus 3 times? That makes 0 sense, right? It's insane. They are hiding from us, and there's ways to go about machines. We can actually look at what those websites looked at over time. So we need to go back. Why did you change the information? Who changed the information? Who told you to change information? We got to chase these people out of here. The other thing we need forensic accounting, because NIH themselves even admitted the other day, $350 million worth of payments coming in from China, coming in where? People that work at the NIH. How can that be? Amazing. If NIH is already ratting themselves out, what does that tell you? Right? Do you think it stops at 350 million? Do you think it stops at $1 billion? No, it does not. I don't know what that number is. Now, I'm a Marines, can't count too many zeros, right? How do we used to count? 1, 2, 3, another. Zeros out there. There is extreme corruption. I'm not saying this for publicity, but we got to get rid of Fauci. He is the modern day Mengele. Lock him up. Lock her up too, right? Lock them all up, baby! But seriously, him and other people, they know what's going on. What did he do for AIDS? He ran away from the whole AIDS thing, right? He didn't want to make it a cultural issue, and he allowed it to progress. He allowed this to go on. Masks didn't work until masks work. Just insane what's happening here. So all I can tell you is, I know what I'm doing. I have the technical background. I'm unwavering. I'm unapologetic. I know what to do. I know what the laws are. I don't care who's in the president. Have leadership on the Republican side or Democratic side. Clean bills. Go after these people. And the other thing, the last thing I want to talk about is correcting what happened. Jabs. What is the long-term ramifications? Right? We got the little boys with heart palpitations. What about the women that may start having problems not being able to give birth later on? This is insane. There's going to be a lot of bad juju coming out here, and we need to allow everybody that had the jab, whether it was forced or not, to say, you know what? I had Johnson & Johnson, I had Pfizer, whatever it is. Can we track you? It's up to you, okay? But I think people should allow themselves to be tracked. Companies that literally made, it's going to be trillions of dollars, right? $17.5 trillion. $17.5 trillion for all this medical stuff in less than 3 years. Iraq and Afghanistan, 6.5 in 20 years. So look at all the money these people are making here. That money needs to be making you whole again. It probably can't completely, but we got to do something about it. Stay strong, don't care, be unwavering, and everybody being here. I heard somebody was talking today, $1,800 every time they fill up. Absolutely insane. We got to fix that, okay? Afterwards, and for the children, please take these signs. The children have to learn now. No mandates, no inflation, no giving in to this stuff. No giving in. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ken. I'm going to bring up a friend of mine, Rusty all day. I'll give you a couple of seconds here to say a few things. Thank you again for all the coffee that you make for all these truck drivers. Thank you, Jeremiah. Jeremiah called me up and asked if I could say a few words, and I probably got about 4 or 5 hours. He had said 1 minute right now. So you might remember the group from the Maryland. Notice we got prepped up for supplies for 1,500 cups. We thought that would be sufficient for 3 straight weeks from 6:30, 6 o'clock a.m. till sometimes midnight. We stopped counting at 10,000 cups. So all that coffee was donated. We put the word out to the community. The community really supported us. 70, 80 some containers, 70 or 80 containers of cultured coffee, thousands of cups. We kept pouring in. I'm thinking, this is way too much coffee. I think we had 3 or 4 left when we got done. So we had just enough, and I can't mention all the names, but you guys might recognize this. This is the front of our stand. Hair on it, but you got dust, dirt, coffee, snot, and everything on there from about 3 straight weeks. And we're not a coffee organization. That's not what we do. We're a boots on the ground organization to wake up, get into the spiritual battle. We've got a monthly meeting just about every month. If you'd like to get in the game, I'll be milling around are and give you some more details. But we're all over the place. You know, we've been in New Orleans, New York, Aberdeen, Maryland, Louisiana. We're a pretty small organization, but we're out there fighting for our rights and fighting for the man upstairs, Jesus Christ.
Thank you, Rusty. This next gentleman goes without an introduction from me. I just met him for the first time tonight. You had to forgive me for that. I'm going to give you the floor here, sir.
So I didn't put my pretty headband down, so a lot of you might not recognize me. I didn't brush my hair. I'll say something, I'm definitely not a blocker, but something that happens, a thing like this, is I ended up sitting in an area where other people are talking constantly, so I don't get to hear the speaker quite often. And that happened tonight. Sat down over here, and some other men said, I was trying to listen. Can't hear you! I don't remember that very much good either, the mic. Is that better? Yeah. I said the other night I was a full-fledged alcoholic at 14. At 25, I finally was able to get help. And so I haven't drank for over 50 years now. Sometimes I think the alcoholism because drugs didn't interest me. I was so hooked on the alcohol. I tried marijuana and preferred the alcohol. But anyway, I had a pretty healthy life. At 13 years old, I met what turned out to be my best friend, and spent a lot of time in his house. And he had a 10-year-old sister that we became friends and did things and stuff, played together as little kids. And that 10-year-old sister of his turned out to be my wife. And we've been married 59 years now. My wife lives in a home, she has dementia, and she lives in a home for those people. And she hasn't really recognized me or even known my name for about. And my daughter told me yesterday that she brought her iPod out to her mother and my wife and showed her me tonight. said Bryant. That's had me thinking today about maybe going home, but I need to check with her because I also know that that doesn't mean it's going to be the same 5 minutes later. But I am considering going home, and so I'd like to tell everybody who remarked about my testimony and encouraging them. Thank you very much. In case I do go home and don't speak anymore, I love each and every one of you. I had last year, 78 years old. I was still working full time and loved doing it. Truck broke down. I had to put it in the shop. They told me to get the parts in. During that time, I went home. For a couple of years before that, I knew that I was slowing down, but I just felt like that's what happens to old people when they still work. But the 5 weeks that I was waiting for my truck, I kept getting worse and worse. And finally one day I had I laid on the floor for 10 hours before I was able to get up. And then that day I felt twice more. My daughter came over that night. She called 911. They brought 12 days doing some testing on my heart. And they would have to do 3 surgeries. They convinced me and my daughter, our whole family has always been against the vaccine like most of the people. They convinced me and my daughter that it would be good for me to get the vaccine. And we thought it might be because it would be in the hospital a lot. So I got the 2 vaccine shots. Neither one of them really made me sick or caused any action. And they wouldn't be able to do the surgeries on my heart. And they ended up sending me home quite a bit worse than when I went in. I wasn't satisfied with the medical community. I went on to hospice, and they ended up having to do just about everything for me. They'd come to my house and bathe me, take care of me, my 2 children. Old folks now. So.